Hello and welcome to This Week, a weekly news program. I'm your host, Anna Kambater. And for our top stories for this week, we have Mongolian rescue team continues search and rescue operations in Turkey. Prime Minister Oyun-Erdene pays an official visit to the Republic of Korea, and Mongolia-Russia Tourism Forums held. Mongolia-Russia Tourism Forum held on February 15th. And for the news, stay tuned. A magnitude 7.8 earthquake struck Turkey on February 6. Mongolia's National Emergency Management Agency has deployed 25 rescuers to assist in search and rescue operations in the area affected by the natural disaster, and the General Staff of the Mongolian Armed Forces sent 10 additional staff.
In Turkey, currently all kinds of humanitarian aid is needed, including warm clothes, tents, and first aid supplies. The Mongolian rescue team was given critical information and guidelines to support rescue efforts. Most of the armed forces staff sent are doctors and paramedics. The Mongolian search and rescue team saved people from a collapsed building on February 9th and handed them over to medical teams after performing first aid. The team also extracted 12 bodies, including 4 children. On February 11th, the medical team examined 19 people, 8 of whom were children, and provided emergency medical care at the field hospital. According to the National Emergency Management Agency, the Mongolian medical team worked with Turkish soldiers to clear some space in a disaster area to build an emergency aid tent with medical equipment.
In December of 2022, Parliament issued a resolution on holding a consultative poll on election and political party legislation. A meeting took place on Tuesday for the second phase of the consultative poll, and the Parliament members provided some updates on Monday. On December 22nd, Parliament issued a resolution and approved holding the consultative poll. Parliament also established a working group to support the poll. The first phase of the poll was conducted last month. On Tuesday, a meeting for the second phase of the poll is being organized with more than 800 people selected from a pool of 1,570.
Ever since I was elected Deputy Speaker of Parliament, I've said the law on elections is unsuitable for today's society. Political parties have held many meetings on this issue. The DP will not support the amended constitution because the law contains many provisions that cannot be supported. On the other hand, societal issues that aren't working will be discussed by the advisory board. The working group is trying to make the changes people want and expect to be effective. Amendments to the law on elections and the law on political parties need to be made as soon as possible. Also, in the case of discussing amendments to the constitution, attention will only be paid to perfecting the classical form of parliament.
Mongolian Prime Minister Oyun-Erdene paid an official visit to South Korea as the two nations seek to strengthen political and economic ties. Prime Minister arrived in South Korea on Monday for a 5-day visit and held talks with Prime Minister Han Duck-soo on Wednesday. It is the first official visit to Korea by a Mongolian Prime Minister in 12 years. During his visit, the Prime Minister will attend a forum with business leaders from two nations and visit the southeastern port city of Busan, which is bidding for the 2030 World Expo. The visit by the Mongolian Prime Minister will serve as an opportunity to further strengthen the strategic partnership between South Korea and Mongolia. On February 14th, the Prime Minister received the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Korea, Park Jin, as part of his first visit to the Republic of Korea. Prime Minister Oyun-Erdene expressed his happiness to meet with Foreign Minister Park Jin in Seoul after his official visit to Mongolia back in 2022. Then he expressed his gratitude for taking care of the practical implementation of suitable activities in the field of supporting the exchanges of citizens. He mentioned that the government of Mongolia has announced 2023-2025 as the year of Visit Mongolia in order to promote the local tourism industry, and that the government of Mongolia is working to attract 1 million foreign tourists. The Prime Minister expressed his confidence that the parties will cooperate more closely on the principle of equality between the citizens of the two countries, providing visa waivers to Mongolian citizens traveling to South Korea for short business opportunities. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Park Jin, said that it will be a practical and effective visit aimed at strengthening the strategic partnership and cooperation between the two countries. The parties confirmed that they are committed to deepening cooperation in the regional and international arenas. Minister Park Jin noted that Busan is the second largest city in South Korea and the city visited by many Mongolians, and pointed out that Busan is competing for the right to host the World Expo 2030. The Prime Minister expressed his confidence that the South Korean government will successfully host the World Expo 2030 if Busan is selected, and Mongolia will actively support Busan. The President of Mongolian Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Mongolia, Hur-Sokhna, visited Mongolia's southern border and met with the border guards on duty.
This was the President's first meeting with active duty soldiers since the beginning of the 2023. When the President of Mongolia arrived to meet 129th Border Guard Unit, he was greeted by soldiers marching in formation. Colonel Hondra, the unit commander, made an introduction and reported to the President. During the meeting with unit personnel, President Hur-Sokh expressed deep gratitude on behalf of the Mongolian people for honorably protecting the 8,252-kilometer-long border. He noted that service in the border guard requires great physical strength, patience, vigilance, and constant readiness. The President promised to provide full support for improving border protection capabilities, ensuring reliability, introducing scientific and technological advancements, and creating social and legal guarantees for border guards. He also participated in a ceremony for the handover of new vehicles.
90,000 cargo containers enter Mongolia annually from Tianjin port. During a working visit, the mayor of the capital mentioned about increasing this number in the future. During his working visit, the main focus was on increasing cargo transportation in this port. Tianjin port alone covers about 52% of China's land area logistics. Tianjin port, which handles 500 million cargo containers annually, is only using 50% of its capacity. For Mongolia, coal, crude oil, and consumer goods are taken through this port. In doing so, 90% of the cargo enters the capital. The mayor emphasized that there is a need to pay attention to the level of policy in order to increase the volume of cargo and goods traffic entering Mongolia. Railway reform and modernization is absolutely necessary. In order to do this, since Russia owns more than 50% of the Mongolian railways, both sides need to talk to the Russian side and consider where to raise the necessary funds. It is not possible to look at the state budget in the future. 100 to 200 ships arrive at our port every day and unload their cargo without any queues. Tianjin port handles 90% of the world's maritime traffic. There's no problem from our side in terms of increasing the number of cargo containers to Mongolia. The most important thing is that customs clearance takes the longest time, so if we pay attention to this aspect in the future, we believe that it is possible to increase the volume of goods turnover. Mongolia has a right to use 10 hectares of land in Tianjin port for 50 years without the payment of any rent. The agreement signed back in 1997 has not been ratified until today, 26 years later. Right of use arises after investing in the land of ownership. A total of $8.6 million is required, and if transport is carried out using land that is not being leased, it will be possible to access freight at a cheaper cost. 10 hectares of land has been given to Ulaanbaatar city after talking with the port authorities. In 2007, when former President Batulog was the Minister of Road Transport, a government decree was issued to transfer these 10 hectares of land to the authority of the Mongolian Railways. Unfortunately, that transfer has not yet started. In addition to cargo entering Tianjin port, the mayor emphasized the possibility of exporting domestic raw materials to the third market. Specifically, there is a solution for transporting any other type of cargo back using containers that were used for transporting coal on one side. It means that it's possible to increase the volume of cargo transportation in both directions. During his visit to Seoul, South Korea, Prime Minister Oyun-Erdene delivered a speech at the Mongolian-Korean Business Forum held on Tuesday. The forum was jointly organized by the Korean Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the Mongolian National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and more than 70 representatives of 58 enterprises from the Mongolian side and 110 public and private organizations from the Korean side took part at the forum.
On this occasion, the two sides openly exchanged opinions on the obstacles to expanding business and economic cooperation and discussed the issues of intensifying cooperation in economic relations, including mining, tourism, banking, and telecommunications.
I work in the real estate business and my business currently covers the Asia-Pacific region. And I'm here to study the real estate market of Mongolia and to seek opportunities for investment. Currently, I work on the project of Altınbalık Port construction. I'm here to introduce investment opportunities to South Korean investors in developing the major trade port of Mongolia that connects Mongolia and Russia. I mostly work in industry development. When it comes to Mongolia, I see a lot of opportunities of industrialization development. I see Mongolia is capable of covering its domestic demand and become an exporting country. Therefore, I'm here to contribute to the industrialization process of Mongolia. We currently cooperate with APU for Mongolian. APU products are sold in our GS retail stores. In the future, we are open to Mongolian elementary export products, and currently I am studying the products to be sold through our retail outlets. We are planning to conduct talks for future cooperation with companies present at this forum. Mongolia has exciting potential when it comes to precious metals, so I think this is the main direction we should focus on. The mining industry itself carries big potentials. If we manage to solve trade and transport logistics to South Korea passing through China to be more reliable and to be cost-effective, it will open us a whole new market and opportunities.
Currently, the international community is struggling to recover its economy after the COVID-19 pandemic. In addition, the Russian war in Ukraine is disrupting world trade and transport chain. In 2021, Mongolia and South Korea upgraded their bilateral ties to strategic partnership.
As Mongolia is a landlocked country, we are seeking opportunities to deepen our relationship with our third neighbor countries. We see Busan as the closest gateway to the Pacific Ocean and through partnership as an opportunity to solve our infrastructure shortfall. Therefore, we attach great importance to Busan 2030. We are planning to cooperate with Mongolia in three main pillars, including economic partnership, developing green technology to fight climate change, and the extraction industry.
Participants at the forum also discussed a range of topics of mutual interest, including supply chains in minerals and resources. Top government officials were among the attendees, including the Mongolian Foreign Minister Batmok Batstsak, Hurul Batır, Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Economy and Development of Mongolia, Gam Batır, Minister of Mining and Heavy Industry. The business forum took place for the first time in 5 years.
Forum and the business-to-business meeting of Russian and Mongolian tour-operator companies was successfully organized at the Shangri-La Hotel on February 15th. Representatives of Russian companies are coming to Mongolia for a period of 5 to 7 days and will make an interesting trip to get to know what kind of tourism products Mongolia is offering, and this forum was unique because it provided an opportunity for the Russian tour operators to meet with Mongolian tour operator companies during an entire day.
In connection with the announcement of the 2023 to 2025 as the years of visiting Mongolia by the government of Mongolia, the National Tourism Development Committee headed by the Prime Minister was established. Consequently, starting from November 2022, a number of tasks have been started with the goal of developing travel and tourism of neighboring countries and tourism activities near the borders, including increasing the number of tourists from the Russian Federation. Just as Mongolian-Russian relations measured in centuries of history, tourism between the two countries has a long history. Although this relationship reached the peak of development in the 20th century, it was neutralized and almost stagnated for 20 years from 1990 to 2010. Tourism began to recover rapidly in 2010, but remained stagnant during the 2-year period of COVID-19 pandemic.
First of all, I would like to note that Mongolian and Russian tourist industry representatives have never met in such a big group before. That's why we are expecting a great partnership and excellent, successful and sustainable cooperation from this event. From this year we are preparing so many new packages and new trip plans especially for Russian market. That's why Mongolian tour companies who work in Russian industry are organizing and preparing this beautiful event today. So there was a research of world tourism. Even in Russia, now about 70% of travelers are young people from generation Y and Z. That's why we need to switch and change our programs, which should be suitable for those youngsters.
My company is Grand Rus Tours. We are since 2006. We are incoming tour operator, and we're interested in Mongolian market because we work with companies from all over the world, and now they ask us some new destination. First of all, it was very important to me to understand the logistic way, how we could come here, through what airline company and railway company, if the way is comfortable or not, to give suggestions to our passengers. And now my interest is get to know more accommodation, restaurants and guides. To have all these aspects, I could understand how is better to promote Mongolia to my clients.
Can you share with us your unique trip, your company unique trip?
Yes, we do unique trips, we do tailor-made trips, we work on request, so we know our client, profile of our clients, so we came here to understand better the destination and to share this information with our clients.
At the beginning of December 2022, a Russian media reporting team came to Mongolia and reported on the situation in Mongolia's tourism and hospitality industry and started promoting it intensively. On the occasion of Russian New Year's long holiday, the New Year in Mongolia program was successfully implemented. So far, 6,000 foreign tourists have arrived in Mongolia, 4,000 of them were Russian tourists. Russia has a population of 145 million, ranks 9th in the world in terms of population, shares a 3,485-kilometer border with Mongolia, and operates 9 ports through which people can enter Mongolia.
I come from Ofs province. I'm here to see the international forum, and even I would like to develop the tourism sector in my original province. Yeah, and yesterday I participated in a meeting too, and what I saw from there is was the developing the border tourism. Yeah, that's what I interested more. Even the Russian tourists like to see the natural beauty with water. Yeah, so here the tourists of the companies, representatives from Russia, quite interested in nature with water.
Okay, my name is Andrei. I'm a representative of the Russian tour operator ITM group, who specialized for the FITN group tours to the Asia, to all Asia. We are based in Moscow. Here, for example, in Mongolia, we just like to start to operate there, but we did a lot of trips in Asia, unique, like Bhutan Kingdom, like some gastronomy tour to Singapore, and a lot of things in Asia. Yeah, and now we are looking for the new markets for our clients, for our B2B agents, and Mongolia is so interesting for us.
As a result of creating a website Mongolia in Russian and actively promoting it through social media and other forms of the media, as well as implementing many types of activities over the course of 2 months, Mongolia has again begun to attract the attention of potential Russian tourists.
Well, that's all for this episode of This Week. Thank you for staying with us. We'll see you next week with more news and updates. Have a nice weekend. Goodbye.